Hi, I'm Brooke. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about miraculous healing. I had a situation where I had a slip disc in my low back and sciatic pain down my right leg for a long time. And then I had what some would call a miraculous healing. I don't have any of those things anymore, and I did not get surgery or take medication. It was simply a shift in consciousness. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, stay tuned. Um, First, I'll just introduce myself a little bit. I am an artist. I'm a fine art photographer. This is some of my artwork behind me. I'm sitting in my art gallery in Manhattan Beach. All of my pieces are very joyful, colorful, cheerful, limited edition. So I will put a link to my website if you're interested in happy, beautiful art. Check it out. Okay, so how did I heal? What happened? When I was a teenager, when I was 16, I had a hairline fracture in my tailbone and a slip disc, a bulging disc. And it was very painful, obviously. And there would be, so at first, it was, I'd have like an episode, let's say, where the back would be like out, right? And I could barely walk and move around. But then it was fine, right? So I'd go through periods where it was totally fine, but then there'd be a flare up. And then I got to the place as I got a little older, I got pinched nerves from the disc, and down my right leg, I got the sciatic nerve going on. I had that going, and it was really painful, and it was just constant. And I started to get also numbness. And so when you get pinched nerves, it can lead to numbness, which can lead to things like losing control of, your bladder and not being able to walk. I mean, I didn't get to those places, but that's the trajectory. And I had been to orthopedic doctors, and they told me eventually you'll just have to have surgery. That's just kind of the way it is. And I just kind of accepted that that was my life, right? And I lived with the pain, and I went to physical therapy. So I never took, they always offered cortisone shots. I never took those. I just went to physical therapy. I've never been like a super I've never been that into medication. I always have felt like, if you can do something naturally, that's better. However, I was never spiritual, woo-woo. I would say that I was generally an agnostic. I just, I thought, well, I don't really know what's going on here in this place, Earth or whatever, but maybe there's something out there, maybe there's not. I kind of was just neutral about it, and I didn't have any connection to spirituality. So that was where I was then. And I just believed like, oh, the doctor's saying this, so that's the way it is. And then I did have some before the back was healed. I did have some shift in consciousness where I started to understand there are some things related to your thoughts. Like I used to feel nervous and sick to my stomach a lot, like every day. And then I met someone who helped me relax and shift my focus. And so I did start to feel better in my body on a lot of levels. But I thought, okay, I could see how like a stomach ache could be emotional, but I would have never thought that like your bone structure could be something that was emotional, right? And um, so I went about my life and I started to get, so the back I had just accepted was going to be what it was. But what happened to me was I started to get acne on my forehead. And it was like cystic, like really bad. And I had never had any type of acne. As a teenager, I had like a couple of pimples all through like I seriously, I think maybe I had two pimples through high school. And so I just had this clear skin. And so it was like, here I am, I'm an adult and I'm having this acne and it's really bad. And I was very embarrassed and didn't know how to handle it. And in that sort of vanity, I went to all these dermatologists. I had different, creams and facials, and I changed what I was eating to try and solve the problem. I did all the things. Then I went to Chinese medicine. I got acupuncture. I took Chinese herbs. I did all like over a year went by. It persisted. Nothing worked. Spent a ton of money. Tried everything. And all the while, I had a friend who was telling me about this healer guy. And I was like, okay, that's, if you want to do that, that's great, but like that's not for me. I just thought that was bullshit, right? So, but so much time had gone by and I tried everything I could think of and I'd spent so much money. And I was just like, okay, it can't hurt to go see this guy. So I went to see him and, I went for my forehead. I had just accepted the back was the way it was. I did not go for that. Okay, so I didn't, and I would say I didn't have any expectation of that or resistance really to it being there. I mean, it just kind of was like, it's there. So I went to see him and he, I guess you could say he has an ability to like look into your body or look into your energy field, right? And if you're watching this video, you probably already believe some degree of something like that, right? At this time, this was a long time ago, and this was like 10 years ago. And so I had never heard of anything like that, and it was definitely not as prevalent in the culture then, right? So I was pretty surprised. And what he essentially, he said the forehead, like that was a little more complicated, but he looked in, saw the issues with the back, and he told me, he said, your back has a message for you. And he told me what the back had to say. For me, I won't go into all the details, but it was a feeling of being twisted between my parents. They had been divorced, and this sort of twisted between the two of them. And, he went into a lot of detail and it just really resonated. And I remember leaving this appointment in like a state of kind of just like a daze. Like I didn't really know what to make of it. I had never had an experience like that before. I didn't know like I didn't really have an expectation. I didn't really believe anything like that. But everything that he said resonated. So basically, he said at the end of the session, he's like, your forehead's going to take a while, but your back, it'll feel better in a few days. Like your back and your leg, that's going to feel better in a few days. So I really, I don't know how to describe. I was really sort of, I went into almost like a fog after that appointment. So for the next few days, so for the next 3 nights, I slept like 15 hours a night and I dreamt about white light. That's all I can remember. I was exhausted. I could like hardly keep my eyes open. And then after the third night, like I woke up and the first thing that I understood that was my back doesn't hurt, my leg doesn't hurt. It was just like, I mean, it had hurt every day for like a decade, right? And I was like instantly aware. And I mean, it was amazing. I remember putting my hand on my back because so you could, like the disc, I mean, you could see it and feel it, it's bulging, right? You could feel it. My hips were like uneven. There was like a lot of parts of the back that were kind of like very visible and obvious, or at least if you're looking, right? I don't think, obvious just walking around, but I know what it felt like to touch too. And it was all in alignment and everything felt good. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had a chronic pain that just goes away. It was just, to me, especially then, a miracle. I mean, it was like, oh my God. And so that happened, right? And so I want to say, like, if it didn't happen to me, I wouldn't believe it, right? Honestly, I don't think I would have believed it. I mean, I had this friend that kept telling me about this guy, and I was like, okay, well, whatever. But I got so desperate that I went and ended up in this amazing situation. And what I want to share here is so I think it's important that it's understood that like you are the one that heals yourself. Nobody can really do something to you. Like he gave me information. He was able to see something that I wasn't seeing or acknowledging or letting it come to the surface. He could see it. I chose to accept the information. It resonated. I knew it really clicked. And so because I chose the acceptance of it, that's the back was able to give me the message that it wanted to give me, and I received the message. And that is my understanding of how that kind of healing, if you want to call it like that, that's what happens. And that's my understanding. Maybe someone has a different interpretation, but I've had enough experiences now that that's my belief. And I also want to say, I mean, this is not medical advice. You got to do what you got to do. If you're in pain or something, I would tell you whatever resonates with you is what the right thing to do is. So it's not like telling anyone, I'm just simply sharing my experience. And I think even if you don't have that kind of experience yet, I feel like just hearing a story like this is something that can open the possibility in someone's mind, right? I think that because I was exposed to someone like him who was able to clearly see things, and I had never been exposed to someone like that before, that opened up something in me. And then since then, so I want to say, like, personally, I've never looked back. I did for a while, like I went to the doctor maybe for an annual checkup for a couple of years after that, but like I just I just think if just accepting that idea to align my spine differently, like what everything is possible. That's my belief. And I have seen since then, maybe I'll make some more videos about other amazing experiences that I've had and that I've had just me doing it. Again, I think it's really important um to not give your power to another person. It doesn't mean another person can't help you or offer you a different perspective, but it's up to you to say, you know what, that resonates. I'm going to move with that. Even a doctor, like let's say you go, like let's say I did go for surgery or take some medication or something, you still, again, my belief, you have to go into agreement, right? Because there's so much, like there's plenty of people who take a medication and it works, and there's plenty of people who take the same medication for the same issue and it doesn't work for them. So, or the placebo, the opposite, like people take a sugar pill and they heal themselves. So maybe some of you are familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza. Yeah, I found his work at some point after what happened with my back. And he talks about, I read a book of his, You Are the Placebo. And it's basically, you go into agreement. If you say this pill is going to heal me, whatever's in that pill doesn't really matter. It's you saying, this is healing me, right? This thing I'm putting in my mouth. And then your body goes, oh, okay, we're healing now, right? I'm simplifying, but I do believe these things are true because of things that I've experienced. And I recommend whatever your experience is, just be open to possibility. And one thing I think is really important is letting yourself know that you're the one who's choosing, right? That healer, that was a really profound experience. And I did go see him often after that. And at one point, I realized I was putting way too much power, right? I was like, you heal me, please, right? And then I started to, and he is lovely and he was very encouraging that I look within myself, and I wanted him to do it, right? But then I started to see that that's right. I need to look within myself, that, you don't want to ever put all your trust in something outside of yourself. You want to put it all in you, right? Because really you're the authority over this vessel, over your experience and your creation. And I'll make some more videos about those things that I've learned. And I'm by no means like total, full mastery or anything like that, but I'm working on it all the time. And there are a lot of things that I have um done and experiences that I've had that are really at least interesting to me. I don't know if that'd be interesting to you guys, but I'll make some videos. I just lately I've been like feeling nudged to just share these stories somewhere. And on my Instagram and things like that, I share, the photography. And I feel like this is a good place for these things. We'll see. And the photography, by the way, I do feel like it is a channeled experience. When I take pictures, I mean, it's especially there's certain sort of series of images that I really go into like almost like a hypnotic state. And I'll talk about that too. Um, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't think I said to do the things like, comment, subscribe. So if you enjoyed it, please do those things. And if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. I'd love to answer questions if I have the answer or have an idea. Again, you have your own answers, really, but if you have questions about my experience or other things you are curious about, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Your whole body can shift and change just from an idea, just from a shift in your consciousness. All right.